success, or it could be social, or people you see driving flashy cars in the townships, or the movies you watch, how successful people carry themselves around, how to get to that success. So you end up having that
the desire
as well.
Okay, so it's yes.
It also has to do with what we celebrate.
What we celebrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our value system has changed. Over the years, we celebrate morality, the people who are dedicated, even though they suffer, they are just doing good to the society. But nowadays, it's success, achievement, our values have changed.
So we all agree that something changed along the way, isn't it? Something changed along the way from being caring and sharing to trying to get to the top of the ladder. And so the question is, with the internet, who drives what we see? Because human beings were shaped by what we see. Whenever you see something, it influences the way you think subliminally. At the back of the mind, something goes on somewhere there. And who is pushing what you see? Is it something that you choose, or is it something out there, an automated system? It's automated. All these mashups, all these, whatever you get on your Google News, well, I use Android, so it's Google News. Whatever comes up there, they're looking at everything I know, and someone is being paid to develop an algorithm so that I can see what they want me to see. And that person is probably motivated by profit. So we've got to find a way of balancing this thing out. So my argument is that we need to get back to creativity and transdisciplinarity. And that's what I'm mainly going to talk about today. How to get back to those two beautiful things, innovation. And that's why I like what Nixon is doing. The ability to bring many disciplines to get together and talk about the challenges that we face in South Africa and in Africa, which are pretty much three big things. Pretty much South Africa is mainly poverty. You sound like you don't live here. Unemployment, and the third one is social inequality. Okay, social inequity, social inequality. Those are our three main problems. So how do we get you as scientists to solve some of those big problems? Okay, to go back into the values of sharing and caring. So creativity is big business today. And in fact, most CEOs are now employed not because they're technically good, but because they're able to turn things around, to get what is working and take it to the next level. And they build on the fundamental of creativity. So creativity moves beyond just a contribution beyond just a basic contribution to an individual and also to a group, also to a societal level, so that whatever you're creating is not only going to help increase profits, but it's actually adding value to a group of people. Like Zahid has demonstrated just now, he built a design which suits what he actually experiences, not for the sake of more profit. So he's looking at real design. So he was motivated much more from what really affects him. Now, when we talk about creativity, most people get worried that creativity is not something that they can probably achieve. But creativity is not as complex as we sometimes think it is. It only requires deliberate practice, the ability to do it over and over again. Say, for example, if we get Sfiso is looking at wavelet transform techniques for fingerprint images. If we get him to connect with Prof. Yamu, who is looking at digital governance, could we create something new which will solve unemployment? Could we create something new which solves social inequality? Is it possible? So when you look at creativity, it's got to be synthetic. Synthetic in the sense that you can now create new ideas. This is it. It's almost mechanical. You can force it. You get two people together and they talk. Then there's also the analytical side of it, where you evaluate whatever ideas you come up with. And at the end of the day, it's got to be practical. The solution must be able to be implementable in practice. So the fundamentals of creativity is that someone must know the fundamentals. So knowledge is critical for creativity. So right now, all of you are experts in whatever you've written about. So now if we get you as an expert and connect you with another expert in another area completely, are you able to create something new? And it's my challenge to Nixon and Tico that maybe at the next conference, we intentionally get scientists and non-scientists together and we ask them to talk and come up with some new ideas. Is that what open innovation is all about? So that we avoid the tradition of conferences where we go for a conference, get out papers, go to the beach, hook up with a few people, and disappear. But we come out of the conference with a few new innovations. That's why it's open innovations. You've got all sorts of people, engineers and non-engineers together, scientists and non-scientists, in the same room. Would we be able to create some new innovations which solve the world's problems? Do you think it's possible? Do you think you'd participate in such a thing?
Definitely.
Where we intentionally use different techniques to create new innovations. I think that would be quite interesting. So that would be the glue that holds us together and to be unique about the Open Innovations Conference. So that at the end of the day, we get practitioners as well who come in and say, these are the challenges we face in society. What would you suggest? From a nanotechnologist point of view, what can you suggest? What can you work on? From a point of view of actually contributing to society. Okay. If we don't do this, we will end up in a rut, doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for different results, yet the problems of this world are actually getting worse and worse. There's a lot of polarization going on today. Okay? So today we've got a zeitgeist of creativity, however it's driven by greed especially. So can we go back to the zeitgeist? What zeitgeist means is, it's a German term to say the spirit of the times. So right now the spirit of the times is competition. How do we get ahead? Can we rather recreate a spirit of sharing and caring and creating new artifacts which actually add value? Okay, so we do this through correspondence with each other in a shared space, and then we can create new ideas. So then the second one is based on that, we then begin to move more to transdisciplinarity, where you actually have disciplines which are working together to create new things. And this is what's happening in the fourth industrial revolution. You have a scientist connecting with a non-scientist, and those bridges across which they walk become disciplines of themselves. Like Internet of Things. It didn't exist initially, but now it's a whole new field of its own. Now suppose we create nanotechnologists and public health specialists. What shall we create? We don't know, but it's possible to create those bridges. So this is what transdisciplinarity is all about. To build bridges which in themselves become a reality of their own. And through building bridges, we create new notions of reality, new skills, new competencies, new degrees. And I like what's happening in Australia, in the Australian educational sectors. What's happening is that they have degrees which are completely unrelated to anything. So you could do psychology and engineering. You could do arts and French. You could do dance and computer science. And the question is, why are they moving into these directions? Because they've realized that while all disciplines are extremely important, there's a necessity to create completely new ways of thinking and completely new educational curriculum and educational degrees. So that transition is what we need to be talking about. And if the Open Innovations Conference could begin coming together and creating new ideas, we could begin moving towards that transdisciplinarity kind of approach. How would this work in South Africa? If you've gone through the accreditation process of South Africa, you know very well that it takes 7 years from the conception of a new degree before someone actually graduates. Now, with the rate at which technology continues moving, by the time someone graduates, the degree is no longer relevant. So that needs to be rethought. So we mentioned this already. So the problems of today are not created out there. They must be in simple everyday terms. So if we get people from outside who come and speak to us about their challenges and then create new solutions, that would be very helpful. So I think that we should create more connect groups where we begin having creative ideas, innovating, and putting these things together. So having talked about this creativity and innovation, let me talk about what we are focused on in terms of digital skills in South Africa. We look at digital skills as the productive usage of whatever digital technology that you have in your hands. Whether it is a computer or it is a cell phone, whatever it is, you should be able to be productive with it. And this is the research we are focusing on. So the current evidence tells us, so we've looked at the whole of South Africa and asked ourselves, how are people using technology?